in Tom Teague, and let's talk about what's going on in the financial markets. My friend, how you doing? Where are you, Tom? Where in the world is Tom Teague?
Chamonix, France.
Must be rough.
Yeah, it's a tough life. I'm enjoying it before it all goes down the tube.
Good for you. So, what do you think is happening? I mean, oil. You and I were both a little bit, I think, optimistic on the outcome of this. I still am, but I think we may go through a little pain. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I just heard you say oil. It depends which oil you're talking about.
Right.
The Brent is what Europeans are using. Normally it trades like throughout time between $2 and $5 premium to TI, West Texas Intermediate, and it blew out to $20 today, which is a huge move. I mean, I'm not even going to use standard deviations to describe it. It's just a massive move. So it's come back in, and I think right now it's trading around $15. But I think, I was just talking to one of my friends who's an oil trader, and he was saying, it's amazing. Europe is absolutely screwed with this whole thing. Like Qatar apparently has lost 17% of their liquid natural gas capacity. Europe was just trying to start a war with Russia. So now what are they going to do? I mean, it's just it's amazing how bad the leadership is in Europe. And people can say what they want to about Trump, but it's in the rest of the world's interest to protect the Straits of Hormuz. And these guys flat out are like, and I don't know if it's because of their populations, if they're, that they're changing their views on the world, but it's in their interest to get that place working. And they're just sitting on their hands. They're just in denial. And
either that or it's intentional. I mean, you and I have debated this, but maybe they just want to destroy their own societies.
That's every big crisis, they get just more power. So maybe that's, that's what's behind it all. But it clearly makes no sense to me the way they're behaving right now. Yeah. I think, you mentioned before in the last segment that President Trump was, kind of angry that Israel had bombed the Pars gas field in Iran. And that's not helping at all. The U.S. is in pretty good shape. But I mean, I'll tell you a scary figure. Europe basically 3.5 million barrels a day is what they produce. They consume like 18.
Yeah.
They're in big trouble.
Yeah.
Like this is going to be a massive problem for Europe. Russia's going to be doing well. America's going to be better off longer term. But the U.S. is still very competitive. And if you count oil and liquids, the U.S. is producing almost the same as both Saudi Arabia and Russia. So it's the U.S. is in a much better position. And this Jones Act thing, it's made shipping. The Jones Act is basically only allowing U.S. ships to ship oil between U.S. ports. So when you get oil that comes out of the Gulf to get it up to the Northeast, you could only use U.S. ships, and it made the price go up to ship it. But they're talking about suspending that, which should allow, foreign competitors to be able to ship our oil from place to place. So that's very helpful. I mean, I think I think we're in a pretty strong position, and I think I hope it doesn't just continue to blow up like this, because, there's so many important things. There's helium, there's fertilizer, we're so reliant on this artery to get, goods out to the rest of the world. And it's going to be a complete shocker for these guys. And everyone's going to have to rethink their drilling policies, their oil, trying to get off fossil fuels. It's suicide to do that right now.
So I'm still seeing some stuff in the press where there's talk of Trump wants to pull away from Europe and try to connect with Russia. This may accelerate that in the long run.
Yeah. I just don't think you can say, I listen to sort of both sides of it, but I don't think that Europe is behaving like an ally in a lot of ways. Yeah. I mean, the fact of the matter is that they've been very poor contributors of a lot of things. The UK has done a good job overall, but now they're just kind of quiet about this, and this is for their own benefit, and I think that Trump's questioning not the countries or the cultures or anything like that. I think it's just the leadership in Europe is so bad right now that that he's questioning that whole thing, and I think that perhaps we get better relations with Russia at the end of this, and Europe better understand how important it is for them to have better relations with Russia. So I think this makes it tougher for Ukraine right now.
This is a special report.
Knowing how to invest your money is harder than ever before. Dealing with stock market volatility, record debt, and terrorist attacks requires new thinking. At U.S. Asset Management, we can help you see the world more clearly so that you can move beyond the chaos and invest with confidence. Call us, visit us online, or drop by our office. U.S. Asset Management, helping you make better decisions with your money.
Your government doesn't care about you. That's why you need a medical emergency kit. It contains life-saving medications like ivermectin, Z-Pak, and antibiotics. Stock them before they block them.
Well, I think that's going to end that conflict. Do you see European capitals going back to the Russian gas market?
I don't know what their choice is. I mean, if you get a major disruption, other than the economy's just grinding to a halt in Europe, I don't know what choice they have. Yeah. There's just not enough oil. This is the problem. It's a commodity, and when you get massive supply disruptions, and if they're longer term, I was looking today, like the sort of Decembers have gone up from like $65 to like $85. So December, so there's more belief out there now that this is going to be a longer term issue, right? So I don't see how Europe's going to get by unless they reconnect with Russia and solve this problem in Ukraine. So it really does play well into Russia.
So any of that backwardation is gone, huh? The longer end is much higher. Is what you're saying?
It's reduced a bit, yeah. But and we'll see what happens. But that's when you really start to worry when this disruption is longer lasting. If it's over in a couple of weeks, which I sort of think there is a possibility that could happen. I mean, these attacks from Iran are just completely acts of desperation. It's not helping them. And I think the level of technology we have in this warfare, and it enables us to just take out, individuals at a time. And at some point, they're not going to be a lot left in their leadership, and they're going to want to end this thing and meet the demands of the U.S.
You could make an argument, I guess, that some kind of 8D chess is going on with Trump. Maybe he knows something about these European capitals that they've been doing against our country. Maybe this is. I've
sort of realized that I'm not privy to the sort of information that he is, and it's like a Dunning-Kruger thing. A lot of people think they know what's going on, and there's other stuff. And I think it's whenever Trump says things, I don't think he's just like saying them just to say them or just to be brash. I think he's got an intent, and he knows what that's going to do, and he makes he uses his platform to try and guide things. And Trump said in 1988 that we should take this Karj area in Iran. This is these guys have obviously been planning on this stuff for a while. And Israel and Mossad have built up a lot of intel on what's going on in Iran. And I hear from people that possibly some of these guys had dentists that put stuff in their teeth so they could figure out where they were.
It's pretty high speed espionage.
Yeah, it's unlike war that we've ever seen before. There's a lot we can do. The Marines are on their way, but I know we can have drone fleets that go out, and I heard that there was a lot of bombing of surface to surface missiles that went on last night. So a lot of that capacity is being reduced. So the key thing is if we can get the Strait of Hormuz open, this crisis will abate. If we don't, it's going to get a lot more ugly. And the U.S. has been fairly resilient its market. We're down a lot less than the other, markets, the European markets, and it's sort of holding in there. But part of it is probably we've got a huge expiry tomorrow. We got the March expiry, so you never really know a lot of times that affects the way stocks trade and sort of makes things like vol compress going into that. And then after it, next week, it could be a complete shit show. But the U.S. has held in there quite good. I've heard that some of these GCC countries have been selling their gold. That's another thing that's been going down a lot because they don't have the revenues right now. Like there's no oil going out, right? So they're selling their gold.
Most people don't realize those countries basically give away cash to their citizens, so they have to keep that cash flow going.
Completely.
Yeah.
They hand it down.
I would say that the mood in the Department of War briefing this morning was, I would say, confident, which I found interesting. They weren't hyperventilating. They didn't go after Joe Kent. They didn't. It was very just methodical, confidence is what I perceived. Anything else in the markets, Tom, people need to know about?
No, I mean, I think you just got to sort of watch oil price and watch bonds a little bit. 10 years have widened back out. The Fed was out yesterday. Again, I don't know what Jerome Powell is doing, but he's trying to threaten them with staying on the board of governors if they don't drop the charges. And it's the most outrageous thing I've ever heard. Like that is so unprofessional. And it's very clear, and I've been saying this for a long time, that the Fed has an agenda under him, and that's to undermine Trump. It's very clear.
So how could he do that? Is there a pathway legally for him to do that? Or
I think that traditionally the Fed chairman can step down and be on the board of governors after that. Most of them, I don't think, do that. But it's a way of saying you're going to have another person to block what you want to do. And how you could say that the Fed is in any way, shape, or form independent, it's beyond me.
Yeah. Tom, thank you very much. See you next time.
Man.
Appreciate
Anytime.
your insight. Bye. Enjoy France.
Thank you.